Alrighty, you guys know the spiel by now. I was lucky enough to be flown out to Bungie to play Renegades early, so I'd like to thank Bungie for paying for my flight and my hotel and stuff like that. I've done a number of videos going over what we played and my thoughts of Renegades and stuff like that. Those will all be on the channel, linked down in the pinned comment down below. General review, a breakdown of the incredible new activity, the Lawless Frontier, and an interview with Ben Womack. But in this one, I'm just going to be taking some of the questions I got from Twitter, from you guys, and just have like a more casual conversation with them. I tried to group similar types of questions. We're going to start with Renegades questions and then kind of finish out with like broader Destiny questions in general. So the first question here, 404 error code. Does the Star Wars inspiration take away from Destiny's own identity or enhance it? I would say that there's a lot of Destiny and a lot of Star Wars. I mean, there are so many visual and audio references to different things in Star Wars. It is so clearly inspired, and like you can tell it's an official collaboration playing it. But I would say it's not like a detriment. It is just something different for Destiny, I would say. I'm not a very big Star Wars fan. Star Wars is fine, but like going through this, I definitely found myself being like, oh, like that's a cool nod to when Luke was trapped upside down in the cave, or oh, that's the ship, you know, that's Luke's X-Wing on Dagobah or whatever. Like even someone who has seen some of the movies one time, I was able to be like, oh, that's a pretty obvious reference to this or that. And I thought that was kind of fun. I would say out of all the Star Wars games I have played, which is not a ton of them, but I've played like the Battlefronts and the Force Unleashed and like all of those. I would say this is probably the best feeling gunplay a Star Wars game has ever had because it's Destiny gunplay, but it's mostly Star Wars guns. So it's really weird to have things that just feel incredible. Like the blasters feel like the Forerunner. Chewbacca's, it's called the Heirloom, the new exotic crossbow laser thing, feels really good. The lightsaber feels incredible. So I would say the collaboration definitely enhances and gives, at least in my opinion, like a new take on a Destiny experience. It still feels very good. The story's very cool. And I enjoyed it. I won't be for everybody, but I personally enjoyed it. So that's my take there. The next question, we've heard nothing of the campaign. We do get an actual campaign, right? We do get a campaign. I got to play like 3 or 4 of the missions. Pretty good. So we played, of course, the early missions. It's hard to tell. Like we knew in the Edge of Fate pre-release event, they were like, hey, we might have accidentally made the longest campaign yet. And we were going through that, but we didn't really know like how long it was going to be. So when we played it, it was a really big surprise. With Renegades, we don't really have any expectations. I have no idea how much longer it is than what we played. I imagine we played somewhere between a quarter and a third of it, but I don't know for sure. But there is a campaign. There is a legendary difficulty. I've seen a lot of people ask about that. All of that exists. What are the synergies with the Praxic blade that you've been made aware of? Stats, armor pieces, etc. I don't know about specific armor pieces for the Praxic blade. There was like sword damage buff set bonuses that are new to this expansion that are obviously going to play into the Praxic blade. And the Praxic blade also has some build crafting in with your subclass. I'm not allowed to talk too much about that, but just know that there are ways to like apply debuffs with your lightsaber or your Praxic blade, which will help with build crafting and stuff. So that was pretty cool. The next question is also about the Praxic blade. How deep is the customization of the Praxic blade? And did you notice at all any hint of it having a double blade mode? No double blade mode that as far as I can tell. We got to see, I think, everything that is currently in the game for the Praxic blade. I can't talk about a lot of it, but I can tell you that it is probably the most customizable weapon we've ever had. More so than even like the Kvasov. Like, I'm talking 5 different things you can customize that, you know, if maybe it's 4 or 5 different, like, you know, mod slots, or they're called like cores or forms or catalysts, like things like that, that you can mess with and alter your play style. with the Praxic blade or the lightsaber. It is super deep, and it's really cool because you unlock different aspects of it, including the crystals. What color your lightsaber is, you unlock those by doing a ton of different things in the campaign. So, or not in the campaign, in the expansion. So you actually have to like interact with all of the content to fully upgrade your lightsaber, which is really, really cool. I saw some people asking about ornaments as well. There are ornaments for the hilt. So you can change the color of the blade, and then there are like, you know, silver or bright dust ornaments for the hilt as well. So tons of customization aesthetically and in terms of utility and like build crafting with your lightsaber or your Praxic blade, which is really, really sick. Will the lightsaber or Praxic blade be strictly the dungeon exotic? And will there be a dark saber appearance sighted dungeon triumphs? I don't know, and I'm not allowed to talk about how you get all of the different things. So there is a dark saber. You've seen it in the trailer. Don't know how to get that. I can tell you that the Praxic blade is not the dungeon exotic. It comes from the exotic mission in the middle of the campaign, and that the heirloom Chewbacca's crossbow thing, that is the dungeon exotic. So there's a lot of misconceptions. I think that comes off from like a weird blurb on Bungie.net. Not true at all. There are upgrades I think that you can get from the dungeon for your lightsaber or your Praxic blade, but it is not the dungeon exotic. So that's an important thing to know. Will the lightsaber be able to roll Eager Edge plus the ability to throw it, assuming it's in the heavy slot or the first special ammo sword with Eager? It is a special ammo sword. There is an Eager Edge-ish thing. It's a lot more situational than Eager Edge. I don't think I can expand on it any more than that. And you always have the ability to throw it. That's not like an upgrade or anything. That's just the base heavy attack on your lightsaber, so or your Praxic blade. So that answers that question. Do the blaster weapons have new perks specific to them? Yes, there are new perks specific to any sort of the blaster archetype weapons. And then there are set bonuses that you get from the new armor that directly play into exclusively the blaster weapons as well. So tons of build crafting around them. They kind of have their own ecosystem. Reload perks also affect the kind of cooldown rate as well. So if you have like a solar blaster and you have a solar reload, it will cool down faster than if you don't have that. So I know that was a question I saw a couple of times, but they have their own kind of like perk ecosystem, and I would be kind of surprised if they're not in the artifact as well, but I don't know. But definitely stuff that plays into them specifically. Is the Lawless Frontier an activity or a destination with an activity? Is the director getting updated to add Kepler and the Renegades Tharsis outpost? Okay, there's a lot of questions here. I want to answer all of them because they ask about Renegade abilities, and I think that plays into the next question as well. Lawless Frontier is kind of like an activity space, so it's not a destination. Tharsis Outpost is a social space that is match made. You can see random people there. That's cool. Lawless Frontier is its own thing. Like you have a bunch of different nodes on the map. It's got its own screen, its own UI, its own director. You load into kind of whatever one of these activities you want to. It will be on one of 3 locations. It'll be in Europa, Mars, or Venus. The maps are way bigger than you think. They are very large. I would say each one is probably... I was trying to find a good example of this for my review. I'd say like 2 average destination bubbles, like patrol space bubbles. Like if you look at like a Trossland, like 2 of those put together. But even that for a lot of them feels really small. So I would say like if you take the 3 main areas of Neomuna, just the 3 in the middle, and you remove all of the transitions in between them and you squish them together, I think that is slightly larger than most of these maps. I mean, they are quite sizable and there's a lot of different layers and stuff, but they're pretty big. Or at least they felt really big when I was playing them. Let's say that. But it doesn't have its own destination. They took all of the work that they would put into like a patrol space and they built out the activity instead, it seems like, which I'm a fan of. I know a lot of people are really married to the idea of a patrol zone. I am not too worried about that, especially currently when patrol zones don't really have a place in the core game. I hope that changes going forward, but right now I would much rather them put time into making sure there's a lot of playable area and unique and interesting locations for a brand new activity like the Lawless Frontier. So I think it plays really well. I'm curious to see how the community responds, though. Is the director getting updated to add Kepler? Yes. So not the director, but on the like main portal screen, there's kind of like a drop down for Edge of Fate and Renegades. I do hope they add Kepler to the director eventually, but currently they have not done that. But same thing with Renegades. You click it and it brings you to, you know, Tharsis Outpost and all those stuff that you can do there. So how are the Renegade abilities? Do you like them more compared to the Edge of Fate abilities? Yeah, they are way better. They are significantly more impactful on the game. They feel better to use. They are less annoying. They are not shoved in your face at all. It's like you can use them in most of the missions. You can always use them in Lawless Frontier. If you want, there's kind of a lot of strategy with it because you can pick 2 of them and there are 7 of them. There are 7 of them with 3 or 4 upgrade paths per upgrade as well. So you have to play with the syndicates and you have to play different stuff to unlock your upgrades for your Kepler abilities. And I mean, they're really good. Like I can spawn an ATST. I can drop a Cabal drop pod that spawns a bunch of ammo. I can do like a small blinding Vex bubble. I can do a giant Vex cube that like shocks and disorients enemies inside of it. I can spawn a little shank that pings enemies through walls. That's really good for invading. I can spawn a shank that gives me all my abilities back and stuff like that. So, I mean, they're way more impactful. They're way less annoying. And there's a lot more like strategy with using them. And you actually have to like upgrade them in a meaningful way. That's not just like do this campaign mission, you know? So they felt way better. I think Bungie learned a lot from the Kepler abilities, and they stayed away from making all of those mistakes. I really enjoyed the Kepler, or the Renegade abilities. And also, like, the flipping the coin thing feels really good. It feels really, really good as well. Like, it's just a fun little ding, and then it summons whatever you did. So, big fan of those. There's another question. Are there gimmicks like the ball and strand stuff from Edge of Fate? There's a couple things in the campaign. Like, there's a couple moments in the campaign where you have to use, like, a strand launcher or like an ATST to do stuff, but you know, nothing that we haven't done before in Destiny. But I would say there's nothing as annoying as like Matter Spark in this DLC. It all feels very purposeful and pretty good. So that's my answer there. Now we're going to get into more of the general game questions. Is there something to keep players engaged beyond the first few weeks? It's actually so interesting that this person asked this question, because if you watch my review, I dedicate like 3 or 4 minutes to this topic because it's something I'm very worried about, like very worried about. I think Renegades has a lot of really fun content, but it's all isolated. Like it doesn't really expand on the core of like the existing content in the game. It's just new stuff. And so like there's like in the portal, they brought back Catch Crash and the Astral Alignment and one more 6-player activity. I forget which one. And then they, you know, there's a new solo op, but like there's nothing else there. Like Lawless Frontier is awesome, but it's its own isolated thing. And so you're gonna grind it until you get all of those rewards, which is going to take a while, a few weeks for sure, because it's a very deep system. But then once you're done with that, you're going to go back to the core game of Destiny, and then you're really just relying on events to keep you interested. And so I am worried about this question for sure. I think this comes down to how Bungie continues to handle the light progression, especially now that there isn't any for most of us going into Renegades. We're all going to get tier 5s immediately. So like, what is the chase? You know, are there new titles? Are there new events? Are you like, what are we doing after the first month of Renegades? That's something I'm really worried about, to be completely honest. So great question, yet to be determined. How does the Lawless Frontier activity compare to other expansion seasonal activities? It's way bigger, Luke. It's way deeper. It's way more complex. It feels really good. How much more is there to the expansion outside of the activity? That kind of goes back to what we were just talking about. Not a ton. I mean, it's really a campaign, the Lawless Frontier, you know, all of the stuff that comes with the Lawless Frontier. There's multiple activity types. You have the different factions. So there's a lot there. But then other than that, there was like a new exotic mission in the dungeon. And that's really it. Like no patrol spaces like you ask, nothing for like Crucible as far as we can tell. It seems like a lot of the new like core game stuff is going to be relegated to more events. And like, I love the events in Destiny, but man, like, just people aren't going to like not getting stuff for the core game of Destiny, you know, so that's something I worry about. But Lawless Frontier itself is fantastic. I'm really excited for it. I think it moves the needle in a really big way, in my opinion. Do you think this expansion is enough to bring players back? This is a really hard question to answer. I think there are so many factors affecting people's interest in Destiny, you know what I mean? And people will point to this or that, but I think it's really a huge combination of things. And so people will be like, I don't want to come back because they're desperate and they're doing like a Star Wars collaboration. But really, those people, like, if you're not coming back for this, you probably weren't coming back otherwise, or you're going to check it out either way. I think people just have a lot of IP fatigue. I think that, you know, there's a lot of goodwill that's been burned and that sort of stuff. So is this expansion enough to bring players back? I can't really answer that. I think there are some really interesting things here that people, if you like Destiny, you will like. I just don't know what this staying power is. So that's the answer I have there. I don't really know. Like, I can't really tell the future, you know? So that's what I got. Do you think the portal is going to change tremendously and become in a way better state than it is now? I think they are committed to making more changes. They were very open about that. Like, when we were there were a lot of acknowledgments like, hey, we really missed the mark. This is our fault. We are doing things to make it better, and we're going to try to make it better. They didn't tell us any specifics. I think the portal is already in a way better state than it was like a month ago or 2 months ago. Like, I think the light changes are really good. I think a lot of the stuff that they learned with Call to Arms is going to help change the portal in a very positive way going forward. But I mean, you know, I think there are also indications that they understand. Like, if you look at the UI for the Lawless Frontier, like, that's what we want for the portal, right? Like, we want beautiful, intricate things that are easy to understand, but they're also like really deep progression systems, and they're really cool. And I think a lot of how deep the Lawless Frontier was probably informed by a lot of the things we did not like with the portal. And so, I don't know. I think the portal has already changed tremendously. I think there's always going to be some sort of negative name association with the portal. Like, Bungie could make the most perfect thing ever, and people are going to be like, I hate the portal because it's called the portal, you know? That's just kind of the human nature. But I think it's better already. It's not perfect. There's a lot of problems with it, and I think they have committed to continuing to make that better, and we just have to wait and see. How would you compare Renegades to Edge of Fate early access preview, and what would you say the biggest differences are? I would say the biggest differences were how things were communicated. There was press for Renegades. There was no press in the Edge of Fate pre-recording event. Renegades was also a lot bigger. There were like 40 people there versus Edge of Fate, where it was closer to 20. I would say a lot of the communication was a lot different. Like, there was a lot more, I would say, like, ownership this time around. Like, there was a lot of like, hey, we messed up. We're trying to make things better. We messed up. Here's at least the steps that we're able to take. The communication was a lot more clear this time around. In the event space, like, this is the first time we've ever been allowed to record like inside of Bungie and like have our phones at certain points. They had really cool like interview rooms set up and stuff like that. Like, I think they did a really good job with the preview itself. But I would say also the scope of the preview was a little more limited, because with Edge of Fate, not only were we playtesting or like recording Edge of Fate, but also there was a lot of like the portal activities. We didn't really have that. Like, we ran like Natural Alignment and the new solo op, but a lot more of this was focused on like the expansion itself. Whereas like Edge of Fate was like, here's all of these core systems that are changing with set bonuses and the new like armor stats and the new tiers. And it was a much more intimate event, much more focused on like the core of the game. We did play a lot of Edge of Fate, but we didn't like play any Civ in that. We didn't play any time lapse missions. Like, it was like Edge of Fate, and then here's the portal, and this time it was like Renegades, and here's like the Renegades activities and play spaces and stuff. So I would say this one was a lot more focused on the expansion itself rather than kind of like the state of the game at the time. And then there's a lot more like direct ownership taken verbally with their language. So I would say it was quite different. It was a good event though. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I think they did a good job. But yeah, if you have any more questions, leave them down in the comment section below. Make sure you check out all of my other Renegades content as well. Thank you guys so much. We'll be answering more of these questions on stream for sure whenever I'm live next. So hope to see you there. Have a fantastic day. If you're excited for Renegades, make sure to subscribe. Love your faces, and I'll see you very soon.